How many times a day do you realize the sensation of sound? Not many, huh? Well, according to the National Institute of Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, about 2 to 3 out of every 1,000 children in the United States are born with a detectable level of hearing loss in one or both ears. And approximately 15% of American adults aged 18 and over report some trouble hearing. What is a hearing aid, you ask? In spite of the great variety of types, designs, and technical features, hearing aids can all be described as small wearable electronic devices which enable a person to hear sounds better and understand speech more clearly, providing an overall improvement in communication ability. While there are many different versions of hearing aids, the 3 most common designs are 1. BTE hearing aids. These devices are worn with the hearing aid on top of and behind the ear. All of the parts are in the case at the back of the ear, and they are joined to the ear canal with a sound tube and a custom mold or tip. 2. ITE hearing aids. These are custom-made devices. All of the electronics sit in a device that fits in your ear. They come in many sizes, including completely in canal and invisible in canal. 3. RIC Right hearing aids. These devices are similar in concept to BTE hearing aids, with the exception that the receiver has been removed from the case that sits at the back of the ear. It is fitted in your ear canal or ear and connected to the case of the hearing aid with a thin wire. In 1898, Miller Hutchinson created the first electric hearing aid. His design used an electric current to amplify weak signal, and from there, hearing aids have been changing from not being portable to vacuum tubes.
15 years later,
the first commercially manufactured hearing aids came to market in 1913. Vacuum tube hearing aids were produced in 1920. These tubes were able to turn speech into electrical signals, and then the signal itself was amplified. The transistor was invented in 1948. Transistors were able to replace the vacuum tubes in hearing aids. They were also smaller, needed less battery power, and produced less distortion. The 1970s saw the creation of the microprocessor and the multi-channel amplitude compression. The microprocessor took miniaturization to a new level, and the compression ushered in the use of digital technology. From this point, hearing aids began to quickly evolve. High-speed processors and microcomputers were invented in the 1980s. The first all-digital hearing aids were created in the 1990s, and the 2010s brought the idea of Bluetooth-enabled devices into the mix.
So now that you suffered through a brief history of hearing aids, let's tell you how this thing actually works.
So anyway, the first part of a standard hearing aid is the microphone. The microphone is where sound is collected from the environment, which are then converted to electrical signals. Next, the microphones send the electrical signals to the amplifier. The amplifier strengthens the signals depending on the user's level of hearing loss. Then, these amplified signals travel to the receiver. The receiver is where the electrical signals are converted back into the sound so that it can be sent through the user's ear. While taking a hike, do you ever listen for animals that could harm you? Or have you ever heard a fire alarm at school?
Or like an ambulance rushing by.
These are things we take for granted every day, while people with hearing loss have to be extra cautious in their daily lives. Modern hearing aids feature state-of-the-art technology with special microphones, allowing wearers to hear those exact sounds mentioned. In a 2018 study conducted with hearing aids to study their effects on the brain, researchers found, quote, physiological differences were observed between hearing aid users and non-users with age-related hearing loss. Hearing-impaired individuals that did not use hearing aids showed reduced temporal processing abilities, physiological deficits in the encoding of sounds, and decreased neurosynchrony. These physiological effects may contribute to listening difficulties, especially in non-optimal listening environments. Hearing aid use may offset these neural deficits after the use of hearing aids for a period of 6 months, quote. This study concluded that hearing aids have a positive impact on the user's brain and their neurosynchrony, meaning the parts of their brain were better able to interact with each other when exposed to stimulus. This aids in cognitive processes essential to life, including planning, decision-making, problem-solving, and task organization. In addition to other difficulties, hearing loss can also cause people to become extremely dizzy and disoriented. The eyes, the inner ear, muscles, and joints send signals to the brain to help you stay balanced. If you have a hearing impairment, it affects the vestibular system. Hearing aid helps people to improve the hearing loss, therefore improving their balance. Alright guys, it's about time to wrap it up. Hope we were able to inform you a little bit more on hearing aids. Have a beautiful day.
Cut. It's a wrap.